I stood in my bedroom doorway, staring at the pink and yellow walls I'd painted myself last summer. Mom leaned against my desk, arms crossed, wedding ring glinting as she tapped her fingers against her sleeve. The sound of her acrylic nails clicking made my skin crawl. "You're almost 18, Lydia. It's time you learn some independence." The eviction notice she'd handed me moments ago crinkled in my grip. "The baby isn't due for 6 months. Jasper wants to start the nursery renovation early." She glanced at her perfectly manicured nails, then at her watch. "We need you out by Friday." 3 days. She was giving me 3 days to pack up 17 years of my life. I swallowed hard, fighting the tremor in my voice. "Where am I supposed to go?" "You could try your grandmother's." She straightened, smoothing her designer blouse over her barely visible bump. "Edna's always had a soft spot for you." The casual way she said it made my stomach turn, as if she wasn't shipping me off to make room for her do-over family, as if this was all perfectly normal. "Does Jasper know you're doing this?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. My stepfather's influence was written all over this decision, just like everything else in our lives lately. It was a mutual decision. She checked her phone, thumbs flying across the screen. "We need to think about the baby's future." "What about my future?" She sighed that familiar martyr sigh. "Don't be dramatic, Lydia. You're practically an adult. Most kids your age would love having their own place." "This isn't about having my own place. You're kicking me out of my home." "It's my home," she snapped, mask slipping for just a moment. Then her features smoothed back into practiced indifference. "And soon it'll be the baby's home, too." I wanted to remind her that Dad had bought this house, that his name was still on some of the old mail that sometimes showed up. But bringing up Dad always made things worse. The sound of Jasper's BMW pulling into the driveway filtered through my window. Mom straightened immediately, like a puppet on strings. "Start packing tonight," she said, heading for the door. "I'll have some boxes sent up from the basement." "Mom," I called after her, hating how small my voice sounded. She paused but didn't turn around. "Did you ever actually want me?" The silence stretched between us like a living thing. Finally, she said, "I have a dinner to prepare," and clicked down the hallway in her expensive heels. I sank onto my bed, the eviction notice falling from my numb fingers. On my nightstand, a photo of 7-year-old me smiled gap-toothed at the camera, Dad's arms wrapped around me as we sat on our old porch swing. He'd died 2 months after that picture was taken. "Car accident," Mom had said. No details, no funeral I could remember. My phone buzzed with a text from Grandma Edna. "Coming over tomorrow morning. Don't let her see you cry, sweetheart." I blinked, wondering how she already knew. But then, Edna always seemed to know when things were falling apart. She'd been there after Dad died, after Mom married Jasper, after every small betrayal that led to this moment. From downstairs came the sound of Mom's theatrical greeting, Jasper's deep laugh, their perfect little family performance. I pulled my suitcase from under the bed and unzipped it, the sound like a promise of escape.
3 days to pack up my life.
3 days until everything changed. I just didn't know yet how much. Grandma Edna's spare bedroom smelled like lavender and old books. I'd been here 3 days, and already the familiar scent felt more like home than my old room ever had. Outside, rain tapped against the window, a gentler sound than Mom's acrylic nails had ever made. "There's something you should see," Edna said from the doorway, holding a worn shoebox. Her silver hair caught the afternoon light, making her look almost ethereal. I've been waiting for the right moment. I set down the novel I'd been pretending to read. "More family photos?" "Letters." She placed the box on my bed, her hands lingering on the lid. "From your father's parents." My heart stuttered. "Calvin and Maeve? But Mom said they never tried to contact us." "Your mother says a lot of things, dear." Edna's voice carried an edge I'd never heard before. She opened the box, revealing dozens of envelopes, all addressed to me. My hands shook as I picked up the first letter. The postmark was from 10 years ago. She kept these from me? Moira has her reasons for everything. Edna sat beside me, the bed creaking softly, though they're rarely good ones. I pulled out the letter, unfolding crisp paper that smelled like time and secrets. The handwriting was elegant, careful. Dearest Lydia, we hope this letter finds you well. Your grandfather Calvin, and I miss you terribly. The house feels empty without your laughter echoing through it. They wanted to see me? My voice cracked. All this time, Edna's hand found mine. They tried visiting once, about a year after James died. Maura turned them away, said it would be too confusing for you. I rifled through more letters, dates spanning years, birthday cards, Christmas wishes, photos of grandparents I barely remembered, standing in front of a beautiful Victorian house. There's more, Edna said quietly, reaching into the box's bottom. She withdrew a sealed envelope, yellowed with age. My father's handwriting sprawled across the front. For Lydia, when she's ready. The room suddenly felt too small, too warm. When did he write this? A week before the accident. Edna's eyes held something heavy, something that made my stomach clench. James knew something wasn't right. He tried telling me, but I didn't listen carefully enough. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Mom's name flashed on the screen, along with a text. The nursery contractor needs measurements. Come get the rest of your things tomorrow. I switched the phone off, my attention drawn back to Dad's letter. The seal crackled as I opened it, releasing a scent that brought back fragments of memory, his cologne, his laugh, the way he'd spin me around in the backyard. My dearest Lydia, the letter began. If you're reading this, something has happened to me. There are things you need to know about your mother, about our family's legacy. A car door slammed outside. Through the window, I glimpsed a familiar BMW pulling into Edna's driveway. Jasper, I whispered, quickly folding the letter. What's he doing here? Edna moved to the window, her expression hardening. He's with your mother, and they're carrying paperwork. I stuffed the letters back into the box, sliding it under my bed. Whatever truth lay in my father's words would have to wait. Should we let them in? I asked, but Edna was already heading downstairs, her spine straight as steel. Oh, we'll let them in, she said, and something in her tone made me shiver. It's time they learned that some secrets refuse to stay buried. Through the window, I watched Mom straighten her designer coat, clutching a manila envelope like a shield. Whatever game she was playing, she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I wasn't just her daughter anymore. I was James Ashford's daughter too, and I was finally ready to find out what that meant. The doorbell chimed just as I finished reading Dad's letter for the 4th time. Through Edna's lace curtains, I watched an unfamiliar silver Mercedes pull into the driveway behind Mom and Jasper's BMW. 2 elderly figures emerged, and my heart stopped. Calvin and Maeve Ashford had my father's eyes. Perfect timing, Edna murmured, straightening her cardigan. Shall we? Downstairs, Mom's voice carried through the foyer, sharp with false cheerfulness. Really, Mother, this isn't necessary. We just need Lydia to sign these. The house belongs to her. Calvin's deep voice cut through Mom's protests. Always has. The manila envelope in Mom's hands trembled. I don't know what you think you're doing here, but we're here, Maeve said, because James left everything to his daughter. The house, the trust fund, everything. I gripped the banister, my knees weak. Trust fund? Jasper stepped forward, all polished shoes and practiced charm. There must be some mistake. Maura has managed the estate. Managed it right into your pocket, I expect. Edna's voice could have frozen hell. Did you think no one was watching? Lydia, Mom called up the stairs, spotting me. Come down, sweetheart. These people are confused. These people, I said, descending slowly, are my grandparents. The ones you said never wanted to see me. The room fell silent. Calvin and Maeve stared up at me, their faces a map of emotions I couldn't quite read.
Grief, joy,
Anger. You look just like him, Maeve whispered. Mom's makeup couldn't hide her pallor. This is ridiculous. Jasper and I are selling the house. We need the money for what? Calvin pulled a folder from his briefcase. The gambling debts? The credit cards? Or maybe the money you've been siphoning from Lydia's college fund. Jasper's charm cracked. Now wait just a minute. We have the bank records. Maeve said quietly. All of them. James may have trusted you with his daughter's future, Moira, but we've been watching and documenting. My head spun. The house was mine? There had been money for college? I thought of all the times Mom had said we couldn't afford new clothes, school trips, basic necessities. All while she wore designer labels and Jasper drove luxury cars. You had no right, Mom hissed at Edna, calling them here. I had every right. Edna moved to stand beside me. James asked me to watch over her. I failed him once. Never again. Calvin opened the folder. The trust stipulated that Lydia would inherit everything at 18. The house, the investments, the full truth about James's death. The room tilted. What about Dad's death? Don't, Mom warned, but Calvin continued. The accident report never made sense. The brake lines. Enough. Jasper's fist hit the wall. The mask of civility vanished, revealing something ugly beneath. You have no proof of anything. Actually, said a new voice from the doorway. A man in a suit held up a badge. We have quite a lot of proof, mister. Morrow, mind if we come in? Mom's face crumpled. Jasper lunged for the door, but another officer blocked his path. Lydia. Mom reached for me, her eyes wild.
You don't understand.
Everything I did was for us. I stepped back into the protective circle of my grandparents.
No, Mom.
Everything you did was for you. As the officers began reading rights and asking questions, I felt Calvin's steady hand on my shoulder. Maeve's fingers intertwined with mine. Edna stood guard like an avenging angel. For the first time in my life, I wasn't alone. And somewhere, in the chaos of revelations and long-buried truths, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about justice. For Dad.
For me.
For the family we should have been. The police station's fluorescent lights made everything look sickly, including Mom's designer blouse as she sat handcuffed to the interview room table. Through the one-way glass, I watched her dab at mascara-stained cheeks with her free hand. You don't have to do this, Detective Martinez said beside me. We have enough evidence without your statement. I touched Dad's letter in my pocket. Yes, I do. Inside the room, Mom straightened when I entered, chains clinking against metal. Lydia, thank God. Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. Tell them. Did Jasper tamper with Dad's brakes, or did you? The question hung between us like a loaded gun. Mom's perfectly manicured fingers trembled against the table. Is that what they told you? Her voice cracked. Calvin and Maeve never understood our situation. Your father was going to leave us with nothing. He left me everything. Because he didn't trust me. The mask slipped, revealing something raw beneath. I was 21 when I had you. He controlled every penny, every decision. Then he started asking questions about the missing money. What missing money? She pressed her lips together, a gesture I'd seen 1,000 times before bad news. Jasper helped me understand how to be independent. He showed me how to access accounts, move things around. Before or after Dad died? The fluorescent lights hummed. Outside, a phone rang unanswered. Jasper said it would look like an accident, she whispered. That we'd be free. My legs went weak. I gripped the back of the metal chair, knuckles white. You killed him. I did it for us. She reached for me with her free hand. Everything I've done has been for us. The money, the house. We needed security. Jasper promised. Jasper promised what? The words tasted like acid. That he'd help you murder my father? That he'd help you steal my inheritance. You don't understand what it's like to be trapped, she hissed. To be completely dependent on someone else's charity. No, I said. I only understand what it's like to be betrayed by my own mother. A knock at the door made us both jump. Detective Martinez stepped in. MS. Ashford, we've just received some interesting information from Mr. Morrow's lawyer. Mom's face went ash-white. It seems he's willing to testify about your role in James Ashford's death in exchange for a reduced sentence. He can't, Mom breathed. He promised. He loves me. He's already signing the paperwork. I watched my mother crumble. years of careful facade dissolving under harsh fluorescent truth. She looked smaller somehow, younger, like the girl she must have been when she married Dad. "Lydia," she pleaded, "I'm still your mother." I pulled Dad's letter from my pocket and placed it on the table.
No.
"You're the woman who killed my father." Walking out of that room was the hardest thing I'd ever done. Not because I wanted to stay, but because every step felt like leaving behind the last shred of childhood innocence I had left. Edna waited in the hallway, Calvin and Maeve beside her. Their presence formed a protective wall between me and the wreckage of my old life. "What happens now?" I asked no one in particular. "Now," Calvin said, his voice gentle, "you let yourself heal. The rest will follow." Through the station windows, I could see Jasper being led into another interview room, his expensive suit wrinkled, his confidence finally shattered. He caught my eye for a moment, and I saw something I'd never noticed before: fear.
Good.
Because this wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about truth, about justice, about reclaiming everything that had been stolen from me, including the right to know who I really was. James Ashford's daughter. And I was just getting started. The key to my childhood home felt heavier than it should. Standing on the porch where Dad and I used to watch thunderstorms, I tried to steady my trembling hands. "We can come back another day," Maeve said softly behind me.
No.
I inserted the key. "I need to know everything." The house smelled different, designer candles masking neglect. Photos of Mom and Jasper's perfect life lined the walls where Dad's face used to be. In the living room, moving boxes sat half-packed, their contents hastily abandoned after the arrests. "Your father's study is upstairs," Calvin said. Moira never changed the locks. My feet carried me up familiar stairs, past the nursery to be with its fresh paint samples. The study door stuck slightly, just like it always had. Inside, time stood still. Dad's leather chair, his books, even his coffee mug, all preserved like a museum to what we'd lost. "They never touched this room," I whispered. "Too many secrets," Calvin replied, running his finger along a dusty shelf. "James kept everything here." I moved to Dad's desk, touching the worn leather blotter. The drawers were locked, but I remembered where he kept the key, taped under the third shelf of the nearest bookcase. Behind his collection of mystery novels, the bottom drawer opened with a groan. Inside, beneath tax papers and old receipts, lay a leather-bound journal I'd never seen before. "What's that?" Maeve stepped closer. The first entry was dated 3 months before Dad died. "Moira's been moving money again. Larger amounts this time." When I confronted her, she blamed stress over the baby. But I saw her with him today. The financial advisor. Something isn't right. My hands shook as I flipped through pages, each entry more desperate than the last. Dad had known. He'd been gathering evidence, planning to confront them. The final entry stopped mid-sentence. A creak in the hallway made us all turn. Edna stood in the doorway, holding a manila envelope. "The police found this in Jasper's office safe. You need to see it." Inside were photos, dozens of them. Mom and Jasper together, dating back months before Dad's death. Bank statements showing transferred funds. And a handwritten note in Mom's elegant script discussing brake lines and insurance policies. "There's more," Edna said quietly. "The baby, it's not Jasper's." The room spun.
What?
The police found prenatal records. She's been seeing someone else. Another mark, they think. Someone else she and Jasper were planning to. I didn't hear the rest. Blood roared in my ears as pieces clicked into place. Mom's sudden pregnancy, the rushed eviction, the desperate grab for my inheritance. They'd been planning to do it again. "Lydia." Maeve touched my arm. I shrugged her off, moving to the window. Outside, spring flowers Dad had planted bloomed in neat rows, oblivious to the rot beneath the surface. "I want to see her," I said. The police advised against. "I need to know why." My reflection in the window looked older, harder. "I need to hear her say it. She'll try to manipulate you," Calvin warned. "Like she always has." "I know." I clutched Dad's journal to my chest. But this time I have the truth. Behind me, my grandparents exchanged worried looks. Edna stepped forward, determination in her stance. "Then we do this right," she said. "We show her exactly who you've become. Not just James's daughter, but your own person. Someone stronger than her lies." The journal's leather was warm against my heart, like Dad's embrace used to be. In my mind, I could almost hear his voice. "The truth always comes out, Lydia Bug. Always. Tomorrow, I would face my mother one last time. Not for revenge anymore, but for something more important. Justice. For Dad. For the life she stole. For the person I was meant to be. And this time, I wouldn't be the one breaking." The prison visiting room smelled like industrial cleaner and despair. Mom sat across from me in her orange jumpsuit, hands folded neatly, as if we were having tea in our living room. The bruise-like circles under her eyes were the only crack in her perfect mask. "I hear congratulations are in order," she said, gesturing to the manila envelope I'd brought. "You've inherited quite a fortune. Did you know Dad suspected you?" I placed his journal on the table between us. He wrote everything down. Her fingers twitched. James was paranoid near the end, imagining conspiracies. "Like you and Jasper planning his murder?" A guard shifted nearby, watching us carefully. Mom's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something dark underneath. "Jasper's lying to save himself," she said. "You can't believe." I found the prenatal records. The words felt like glass in my throat. "The baby isn't his, is it? Just another mark, another target." She leaned forward, voice dropping. "Everything I did was for us. To secure our future. James would have left us with nothing. He left me everything." I pushed Dad's journal closer. "The house. The trust fund. Everything you and Jasper stole." "We borrowed," she corrected. "Temporarily. Once the new plan worked out." "The new plan?" My laugh sounded hollow. "You mean your new victim? The baby's father?" Something shifted in her eyes. Not guilt, but calculation. "You don't understand what it's like to be trapped, Lydia. To have nothing of your own." "You're right." I opened the journal to the last entry. "I don't understand planning a murder. Or stealing from your own child.
Or.
I protected you." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Everything I did was to make us stronger. James would have turned you against me, just like he turned his parents. By telling them the truth." "The truth." She laughed, bitter and sharp. "The truth is I was 21 and desperate when I met your father. The truth is he controlled everything, the money, the house, our lives. The truth is I refused to let that happen to you. So you killed him instead?" Her silence was answer enough. "And now?" I pressed. "What was the plan for your new mark? The same accident? The same insurance payout?" She straightened, smoothing her jumpsuit like it was designer silk. "You're more like me than you think, Lydia. That fire, that determination, you didn't get that from James." "I'm nothing like you."
No.
Her smile was razor sharp. "Then why are you here? Seeking answers, demanding justice. It's all about control, isn't it? Just like me." The room tilted sideways. I gripped the table edge, fighting nausea. "The difference is," she continued, "I was willing to do whatever it took. You're still playing by their rules, being the good girl, just like James wanted." "Stop. You want to know the real truth?" She leaned closer, voice soft as a snake's hiss. "James knew about the brake lines. He could have fixed them, but he was so focused on proving my guilt, on maintaining control, that he got careless. His death wasn't just my fault. It was his own pride that killed him." The guard stepped forward. "Time's up." I stood on shaking legs, gathering Dad's journal. Mom caught my wrist, her grip surprisingly strong. "You can hate me all you want," she said. "But remember, you're my daughter too. That darkness you're feeling, that need for revenge, that's my gift to you." I yanked free, nearly running from the room. Outside, Edna waited in the parking lot, but I couldn't face her. Not yet. Not with Mom's words echoing in my head. Not with this poison in my veins. Because the worst part wasn't that she'd killed Dad, or stolen my inheritance, or planned to do it all again. The worst part was that deep down, in places I didn't want to examine, I understood exactly how she'd done it. And that terrified me more than anything else. The attic in Edna's house had always been my refuge. Even as a child, I'd hide here among dusty trunks and forgotten memories when Mom's moods turned dark. Now, sorting through old boxes to distract myself from yesterday's prison visit, I found something that made my hands freeze. A shoebox, newer than the rest, with Jasper's precise handwriting. Moira, personal. Inside lay a stack of letters, each one a piece of the puzzle I hadn't known I was missing. The first was dated just after Dad's death. My dearest Moira, everything is proceeding as planned. The insurance company suspects nothing. Once the money clears, we can begin our life together. My throat tightened as I read on. Each letter revealed more of Jasper's manipulation, how he'd found Mom when she was young and desperate, how he'd orchestrated everything from Dad's murder to the theft of my inheritance. The final letter, dated just weeks ago, made bile rise in my throat. The new mark is perfect. Once he signs the papers, we'll handle him just like James. But first, we need to deal with Lydia. She's becoming a liability. I thought I might find you here. I whirled around. Edna stood in the attic doorway, holding a familiar manila envelope. There's something you need to see, she said, joining me on the dusty floor. The police found this in Jasper's office safe this morning. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Not just of Mom and Jasper, but other women, other marks, other victims. He's done this before, I whispered. 3 times. Edna's voice was steel. Your mother was his 4th target, but she was different. She had you. And that made her useful. The pieces clicked into place. A grieving widow with a young daughter would look more sympathetic to insurance companies. Jasper's facing multiple murder charges now. Edna touched my hand. Moira, she's agreed to testify against him. I stared at the letters, at the evidence of years of manipulation. She still killed Dad. Yes. Edna's grip tightened. But maybe understanding why doesn't have to destroy you. My phone buzzed, a text from Detective Martinez. Morrow talking. Claims Moira was coerced. Want to hear his confession? I stood, letters clutched to my chest. I need to see him. Lydia. Not for revenge. The word tasted different now, less like justice and more like poison. For answers. An hour later, I sat across from Jasper in the interrogation room. His expensive suit was gone, replaced by prison orange that made him look smaller, older. Come to gloat. His smile was still sharp, but the edges were fraying. I placed the letters on the table. Come to understand. He glanced at the letters, then back at me. Found my insurance policy, did you? Found your confession. I met his gaze steadily. You used her, like all the others. She was willing to be used. His mask slipped, just for a moment. Your mother wanted power, control. I simply showed her how to take it. By killing innocent people? By eliminating obstacles. He leaned forward. Just like you've been doing. We're not so different. The difference, I cut him off, is that I choose who I want to be. Mom didn't have that choice with you, but she does now. Understanding dawned in his eyes as I stood. The testimony. Goodbye, Jasper. I walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and those letters? Copies are already with the DA. Your insurance policy just became hers. His mask shattered completely, revealing the desperate man beneath. But I didn't stay to watch. I had somewhere else to be. Mom was waiting in her own interrogation room, ready to tell the truth at last. And I was ready to listen, not for revenge, but for healing. For both of us. The morning sun streamed through Dad's study windows, casting long shadows across boxes labeled donations and keep. 6 months had passed since the trials, since Mom's reduced sentence and Jasper's life imprisonment. Now, standing in my childhood home, my home, I finally felt ready to sort through the remnants of our fractured past. Found something you might want to see, Calvin said from the doorway, holding a leather-bound book I'd never seen before. It was behind your father's desk. Must have fallen years ago. The book's spine cracked as I opened it, releasing the scent of Dad's cologne. Inside, his familiar handwriting filled the pages. Not financial records or evidence, but stories.
Stories about me.
My Lydia bug took her first steps today. I read aloud, throat tight, right across my office, straight into my arms. Moira says I'm spoiling her, but how can I not? She's the best of both of us. James wrote in that journal every day, Maeve said, joining us. He wanted you to have a record of how much you were loved. A knock echoed through the house. Through the window, I saw Mom standing on the porch, looking smaller in her prison-issued clothes, her baby bump now visible. Our weekly supervised visits had become a careful dance of truth and reconciliation. I'll get it, Edna said, already heading downstairs. I tucked the journal under my arm and followed. Mom stood in the foyer, hands clasped, eyes taking in the changes I'd made to the house. New paint, old family photos restored to their places. Dad's presence honored rather than erased. The roses are blooming, she said softly. James would have loved that. I used his gardening notes. I gestured to the backyard. Found them in his study. She nodded, then reached into her pocket. I have something for you. From before. It was a photograph, creased and worn. Mom and Dad on their wedding day, both laughing at something off camera. They looked so young, so unburdened. We were happy once, she said, before fear and greed poisoned everything. Before I let Jasper convince me that happiness meant having control. Mom, let me finish. She straightened, echoing her old confidence, but without the manipulation behind it. I'll never forgive myself for what I did to your father, but I'm learning to be someone worthy of having a daughter like you. I studied the photograph, seeing us all clearly for the first time. Dad's dreams for my future, Mom's desperate choices, my own journey through anger and understanding. I'm keeping the house, I said, and starting college in the fall. Business and forensic accounting, Edna added proudly, following in James's footsteps. Mom's eyes welled up. He would have been so proud. I know. I touched Dad's journal. I'm learning that every day. The doorbell rang again, Detective Martinez, right on schedule to end our visit. But before Mom left, I had one more thing to say. I'm naming the baby, I told her, since you'll be away when she's born, if you want. She pressed her hands to her stomach, tears falling freely now. You do that.
Hope, I said.
Her name will be Hope. After she left, I returned to Dad's study, where my grandparents waited. The afternoon light had shifted, illuminating the photo wall I'd created. Dad and me on the porch swing, Calvin and Maeve at my graduation, Edna teaching me to bake, and now this wedding photo, a reminder of how love and darkness could exist in the same heart. I opened Dad's journal to its final pages, expecting another end. Instead, I found a beginning. My dearest Lydia, whatever happens, remember this. Your heart is your own. Not a legacy of pain or pride, but a choice you make every day. Choose love. Choose healing. Choose hope. Always.
Dad.
And finally, I understood. This wasn't just a story about revenge or justice. It was about choosing who we become, one truth at a time.